I'm joined by Nimai Pandit, principal farmer and owner of Gopal Farm in New York. Thank you so much for joining me, Nimai.
Hey, good to be here.
Yeah,
thanks,
likewise.
Daniel.
Thank you very much. And I like to just start by asking the first question of what is the problem that you're solving with Gopal Farm?
Well, sustainability, like we were talking about earlier, economic sustainability, but there is also emotional sustainability in our lives. You would say a karmic sustainability. The violence that we commit, knowingly or unknowingly, for food or otherwise, it is violence to other living entities, and that is going to, there is a equal and opposite reaction.
For every
even
action,
we don't want to go in, so the reaction, the violence comes back. Where is it going to go? I mean, we don't have to go in the whole religious connotation, but still there are, they are living entities. And so many people say now what is happening with coronavirus coming, and it's like an animal strikes back.
Yeah, so, I've heard that.
So how do we do agriculture in a sustainable manner? That's been my thinking, not just with everything, with the soil, with the environment, with people, with emotions, with community, and animals should be taken care of too. In the Vedic culture, all the living entities in a kingdom are called praja. Praja means citizen, not just human beings. So basically it's the responsibility of the leaders, and we are kind of leaders to our folk, including, like, we have cows and chickens and goats, dog, cats. We have to take care of them like our citizen, our which we living entities which I have been asked to take care. So I can't eat them up after taking care of them for some time. I can't say I am taking care of them compassionately till I have to kill them and eat them.
You're not saying.
I mean, no. How can we? If we look in the animal's eyes and say, now is the time I have to kill you. It's most people with compassion in the heart, they cannot.
Yeah.
I know of many dairy farmers here in New York State. They like I meet many farmers, many dairy farmers, and of course a lot of them, they won't care, but many of them, they care. They say, if I know how to make my dairy sustainable, economically sustainable, without sending the older cows, without sending the male calves to the slaughterhouse, I would do it. So that's the problem. How to really sustainability? We have to redefine the definition by opening our heart to everything around us. Not just whatever we think should be sustainable at that point in time. The atmosphere needs to be sustainable. Okay. Or the soil we need to, there is a lot of topsoil is not there. We have to grow sustainably. We have to get we have to regenerate the soil back. But are we taking care of the animals too? Are we taking care of the environment while doing it too? Are we taking care of the people who are going to farm there too? What about the health of the people who are farming? What about the health of the vegetables that we are going to grow? What about the kind of vegetables we'll grow that will grow the immunity of the people? We have to sustainability. That word sustainability, I feel we should think about it more. I need to think about it more in daily basis.
It sounds like
What
what
I'm
you're,
sustaining.
yeah, it sounds like what you're referring to is a holistic approach to this term of sustainability, not just focusing on one specific aspect of it, like climate change or CO2 emissions. That's one piece of a bigger puzzle. And if we're going to solve one issue, then we need to look at all of the issues that surround it as well, because fixing one doesn't necessarily mean fixing all.
Mm-hmm. It's like if you try to fix one thing without the whole, then another thing will go off.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, if we our farming philosophy is the Isha farming, and that's based on a scriptural like a scripture in India called Isha Upanishad, and those are Vedic literatures. And the first verse, which is called an invocation verse, it says, Ishavasya idam sarvam yad kintya jagatyam jagat. Well, let's go back. The verse is Om Purnamada Purnamadam Purnat Purnamadachate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashushite. It says everything in this creation is complete, and it is made by a complete whole. And everything coming out from the complete whole is also complete. And when the complete comes out of the complete, it still remains the complete. It's referring to the Supreme Person who is complete. So, I mean, the ancient Vedic literatures or the culture was to take everything as complete units, as a complete thing. Everything around it is all intertwined. Everything. We can't leave one or two things out, because at one point of time, I would think not.
And Nimai, one of the reasons that I really wanted to speak with you, because we're talking a bit philosophically now, but you were mentioning about taking care of all citizens and all life, and you were recently featured in Vice as the dairy farmer who wants to make milk for vegans, and that's not plant-based milk. This is milk from cows, as far as I understand. So milk, yeah. Absolutely. So, how do you make milk, cow's milk for vegans?
So it's become a little controversial. I didn't know it'll become controversial. People call me sometimes and tell me both sides of the thing. So my thinking was, see, from our time, since our civilizations have been around and records have been there, anecdotal or written, all civilizations have had cattle, cows with them, and children. Right after the mother's milk, we take cow's milk. It's even if the Native Americans didn't know, or Africans didn't know, and Asians didn't know each other before, but somehow or the other they all knew this one thing, that cow's milk we should drink, baby should especially. And there's a lot of, I mean, there's a lot of studies done. Without this milk, it is the brain substance does not form. There is a whole omega-3 debate about how the cow milk helps in that developing the fatty acids. And there are so many immunity now. The whole coronavirus thing, now we know our cow, like we have a calf, Karna. We rescued him from a beef farm. So my wife didn't want him to die, so she got the calf without telling me. But
it's an interesting surprise.
He came up when he was 3-year old, and he was so sickly, maybe 7 days old. I said 3 years old.
You said 3 years.
Oh, but he was 3 days or maybe 7 days old. He was 7 days old, and he was so sickly because because they were going to send him for slaughtering, they didn't feed him the colostrum the first 6-7 days of the mother's milk. So he is still like so small, and he is always getting sick, small sickness. He's always there. And in dairy farms, we always know that that milk is extremely important for the baby to drink. Otherwise, his immunity will not develop. And that's so true for us too with the mother's milk, and similarly with cow's milk when a little bit become older. So cow's milk was so essential for our, and I cannot live without cow's milk, but I couldn't find any good cow milk. As you were talking about earlier about sustainability, people, like most vegans, think no, like proper thinking people can't see the cruelty going behind the cows milk coming on their table. If we drink a milk and then we think all what has taken uh, to get this milk here, it's people can't digest it so well, literally. So
You're referring
thoughtful,
to the way that in conventional farming, how
right? Yeah, in the factory farming, how I mean, it's so horrible that the baby, as soon as just their average age, normally a normal cow's average age should be around 20-year-old, 20
that's
to
how long
24.
they normally live, 20 to
And
24 years.
what's the average age in a factory farm? Just
Uh,
make a guess.
well, if you're asking, my first guess would be like 5 or 6 years.
Oh, you're correct. Yeah,
Oh
it's
man.
like 1/4. It's like your employer doesn't give you any benefits, makes you work like you put you in the workplace. You can't move from there, just in that cubicle a little bit. It gives you food, gives you water, and gets you to just produce. So you could live maybe 100 years. You die within 25 years, or you become very sickly and you want to get
Yeah.
basically finish off, and then you are sent off for whatever is left over on the meat on the bones. So that's the kind of and then the production is basically the baby comes out. The farmers won't let the baby come to the cow and drink the first milk. The mother is looking, where is the baby, because she has been carrying, she's always looking like with our wide eyes. We see all the time when she gives birth, she's looking, where is she? Very concerned. So they won't let the baby come and suckle the milk. Why? Because they both will develop emotional bond. And because of the emotional bond, the baby will feel lost, and the mother will be disturbed, and the milk production will come down. That's the kind of it starts with that from the babyhood, and then the milk bottle is fed without knowing who mom is. Nobody, just alone, and then whole life is like that, grows up. And the feed also is so horrible. Not a proper cow, grass. Stomachs have been designed for grass, everything, including the 4 stomachs, and then fermentation of the curd, and the whole thing is designed. The gut is designed for grass. And a little bit, if there is need, sometimes we do give little grains, just when she just has a baby or she's feeling a little weak, and we give grains to just boost the energy, some protein. But otherwise, she doesn't need any grains. What to speak of very heavy grain diet, and it spoils the whole. It just produces a lot of milk for some time, not good quality milk, and a lot of milk. So milk is like essence of our body. For mother, if you had a child, mother, whatever she's eating, healthy food, that's what the milk will be of.
Absolutely.
So
you are what you eat.
So the cows, they need good food, and then they produce very good healthy milk. And similarly, when the milk is not very, the food is not very good, and the feed is like sometimes killed and grounded beef, and all these horrible things for the cow. So the milk that is produced is, first of all, very third class. It doesn't taste good. It's not very nutritious, and you have to. And the whole process of transferring milk to long distances with this high flash, the high temperature pasteurization. They figured out for 6 months the milk will not have problem.
Really?
6 months. There's no life in the milk. That's why there is no problem, i.e., no bacteria left. So because you can transport it over distance, you can store it. It's just milk. It's just brand. If milk was copyrighted by the cow, none of our dairy farmers or producers will be able to be in business. Because milk came out from cow. That's how the milk was. The branding, the copyright, the trademark should be belonging to the cow, right? And now the oat milk, just to use the milk, oat milk and this milk and hemp milk, and I have nothing against oat and eating hemp, or why call it milk? And because the milk quality itself is so horrible, the cow milk quality, you don't care for all the different adulterated versions of milk.
So how is Gopal different in terms of what you do? Because if you're making milk that's suitable for vegans, then everything you just described surely can't be, I mean, it must be completely different.
So first starts with the baby. As soon as the baby is born, the baby suckles with the mom. And we have seen the mom just licks. Baby removes all the blood and all the liquid, all the from the baby's body. Also, they say in India villages that by doing that, she knows what's the health of the baby. So that she could, when she goes out to pasture, every day morning, she would look for, if there is something lacking in the baby's body, she'll look for those herbs to eat.
So that when see, because then it goes through her milk.
Because she doesn't have a pharmacy. She has this pharmacy, to get the baby good. And
so in order,
she loves.
Nimai, sorry, just that's a really interesting point. So in order for there to be enough of those herbs so that she can have the pharmacy, there needs to be a pasture that's full of different types of grasses.
Exactly. A forest kind of pasture, not an artificial pasture. But I mean, the nature is really very abundant. If you just develop a pasture, so many other the underlying seeds there, in the biodiversity is there, so they will come out. And the cow knows when it is to the smell and to the eyes a little bit and the touch what to eat. Yeah, because I've also seen when we were in Jaisalmer. That's a place where it's a whole region where lots and lots of dairy farms are there, because their only way they can survive is by, it's a desert area, but they have grasslands, which like Arizona, big grasslands with little amount of water. They become green, lush green, like 10 inches of water whole year, but they're so green when it rains. And the cows, that's the only thing that practically you can do is dairying. So cows go around and eat those, and I've seen one day they're going to this herb, another few days later they're going to another. They were not going to eat that, and they explain that it is because they think the baby has this issue, that's why she is wanting to eat that normal grass and little, not like the whole thing. Like we take a little bit of wheat grass, sometimes like that. She will do that.
It's just to augment and to add to the
Yeah, some herbal medicine
yeah.
concoction in the milk.
So that's one of the things you do. Why else is your milk suitable for
Right.
babies?
So then the baby, when she suckles the milk, the baby suckles the milk and she licks the baby. These are two very important points. Only then, so the vegans, I'm a little bit digressing, but it is part of this. The vegans, one thing they talk about is cruelty.
Hmm.
That's why we can't drink the milk. I accept, I follow that same thing. I don't want to, encourage nor support. I cannot drink that milk. Makes me sick mentally, and I cannot. So that I'm total in conjunction with vegan thinking. Then there is the whole thing about the milk is not meant for the babies. Is only meant for the calves, the babies of the cows, not for the human being. That I disagree on. I also disagree on that the thinking is that if we take that milk, then the baby doesn't get the milk. So for both of these arguments, I always say that so about when the cows they take the when they go near a baby or the baby is not brought near the cow, the we have seen the they love each other so much they start drinking, but after some time she starts kicking the baby away. We have seen it every day. We see it. Besides, she doesn't want
Yeah.
him to take all the milk. Why? Two reasons. One is because and we did an experiment that if the baby drinks, like we drink too much milk, we get diarrhea. So similarly with cow babies too. I mean, peop- if one is not experiencing it daily basis, one would think, oh, it feels like, oh, we are taking somebody's milk. And but we see if the cow lets him drink more and more milk, then he gets diarrhea. So she, out of compassion and maternity instruction, she starts kicking him and get away, get away. And he just wants you because they're like the baby, the calf or male or female calf. They are they don't know what is good for them. So she kicks them. Sometimes, like it kicks them on the head. Get away,
Wow.
and they have to. And, they have to get away, even though that's their like, they're like really.
So what you're saying is
And
that there's the mother doesn't want the baby to drink all the milk. So meaning
yeah,
there is milk left over.
so she has 4 teats. Okay. Now, once the baby, normal cows, let's say a brown Swiss whom we have, they are huge, big cows from the Swiss mountains, which have become quite popular around the world. So they produce, like if they are on grass, the 4 teats will produce around 1.5 to maybe 2 gallons each
So that's
milk every day,
almost 8 gallons.
6 to 8. But it's an average because in the beginning it is a little more because she's just come into this thing freshened up, and then as she goes on, she knows the baby doesn't need so much milk, so she starts reducing it, and it comes down to 2 or 3 gallons too. So the baby, because it's small, when he first comes out, so at that time that baby, she'll drink only maybe like a gallon or two, 1.5 gallons maximum. Otherwise, the baby is gone. You cannot carry on. The whole day will be like lying around because sickly, because diarrhea is going on, and we have to do so many things to get him up and running again. Get away from milk. Get him away from milk for a day or two, and try to do something else. So it's tough at the time. So if but cow, what about all the other milk? There are another 2 issues are there with it. One is it's just like when our bladder is full with we need to go pee. We cannot. How it feels. And once we have gone and done our bit, then how such a big relief, isn't it? That's exactly how the cow feels in a different part of body. Ask the mom, they have to pump the milk out, um, the breast pumps, because it's such a pressure on the glands. So who is going to take that? That's my first question. Who? Where is going to go? Second, and she feels for us. The mother, the cow, she wants to feed us too. Now, some people may think, oh, this is just hokey pokey thing, just. But anyone comes, let them come to the farm. Like I know people who have grown up on dairy farms, and people, they when they see that, they'll say, yeah, I know the cow, like as a loving member, they will come running to us. They know who we are. They know how we are taking care of them. She also wants to reciprocate like everybody else. And she knows we take the milk. That is like, I mean, many cow by hand, if we are milking, they don't allow, like they have their person. Okay, only I will get the milk out from this person. Why is that? It's not because I have better hands or something. They just love that relationship. If you
It's that
don't have the
emotional bond.
relationship, yeah, the emotional bond. When we take that milk, I take the milk from one cow. She's satisfied. Okay, I did the good thing. I did my job. And then she goes back out again and brings milk um, for her baby, primarily her baby. But after that, all that extra milk is for us.
So how do you make sure? I mean, I guess one of the reasons why dairy farmers would send an unproductive cow away in that manner is because of the financial burden of having, if you're looking at it strictly financially, it's an asset that's not actually producing anything and requires money. So it's basically you're paying for something that's not actually providing a return. So how do you make sure that that's, speaking of economical sustainability, how do you make sure that that's feasible?
Yeah, very good question. So that's been the Holy Grail for people from so many times. We have been trying to figure that out, especially since the tractor came in, because the oxen couldn't work.
Mm.
I mean, you can't compete the efficiency of the oxen and the tractor. Otherwise, before, America was built by the oxen. The
Mm-hmm.
trains of oxen went from the east to the west coast, and people went in those wagons, the wagon trains. They had oxen, and then they built the railways. They had oxen. I mean, and all the farming was being done by oxen. So it was so oxen had value, because oxen means when a mother gives birth, she could either produce a female or a male. It's almost 50-50. Yeah, so this is the holy grail of how to get the oxen and the cows even after they are sickly or old. So this is you mentioned that they are not productive. So I disagree with that, because the cow, even when she's old, she is pooping. So for us, her poop is the main ingredient by which um, the taste. I mean, everything is coming from that. Is the basis of all our production is, and most of our, even in the houses, people. If you go to Home Depot, you go in the compost section, you see most of the compost would be cow manure,
Hmm.
Based. Of course, there some other things are added, but that's the base. That's the biggest cow. I mean, the fertilizer all everybody uses and have been using for ages. And everybody knows it has the perfect combination of NPK. It has so many nutrients. And it's like the perfect thing for all the farmers. If they get that, then they don't need anything else, because it's not available. Then we look for other sources of compost, which are also good, but not as good as the cow milk. In this quantity, I mean, you can get some kelp for this particular purpose or something, but in this quantity large for, it's nothing like that. So, and that she does is till her dying day. Till her dying day, she'll produce that. Now, of course, it is not enough to compensate for how much money is being used by her for survival in her old age, which is I kind of feel like so strongly about it. Like I challenge any old person in the world to say, maybe there are a few, but most elderly people would say, I am living on my savings, what I did before. And then how can we say, you the cow, you but you cannot do that, So that's why we developed a saving account for the cows, like a 401k kind of. So in her productive years, whatever products she's producing, milk products mainly, and if we sell any compost, which we don't intend to and don't have enough to sell, but if later years if we sell, then we would take 10% of the revenue sale amount, not the profit or anything, the revenue amount, 10%, and put it in that saving account.
So what exactly is, as you call it, the quote unquote kind price of milk?
Well, there is a flip side to it. There's a cruel price to milk too, and then there is a healthy price of milk, and then there is so I kind of say $4 or so is a cruel price of milk.
$4 per gallon.
Yeah.
And anything less than that is obviously the same.
Very cruel.
Yeah.
And the healthy price of milk is $10, $12. A price of healthy milk is, so I call it the healthy price or health price, and the kind price is around $15 a gallon, because you're taking out the 10%, and then you are going a little inefficient because you are keeping the baby with the cow, taking care of the cow much more. And then later on in her years, as she goes, her productivity goes down, little less milk she produces. So all of that, if we put together, $15 is the kind price, and then it is sustainable. So it's not her fault that people don't want to be kind to her.
Have you started selling milk at these prices?
No, not yet. We are working on the investment on the dairy farm. We have a barn, and so to make it sustainable, we wanted to make sure we have a price, $15 a gallon. Now, most of the dairies, what they do is they have wholesalers come in and purchase at a particular price, maybe $1.50 a gallon, very cheap, and then they are jacked up and $3 or $4 at our place. And of course, it is not sustainable. Many are going out of business now because the prices of milk have come down more, even organic milk. So to make it sustainably priced, we need to be able to sell as much as I can at $15. Otherwise, it's not going to work for a long time. So I need to put in enough infrastructure. Infrastructure means when the milk is there, it is cooled immediately according to regulations as soon as we milk her. So it is safe to handle and drink later. And also then, if enough milk is not sold that particular day or the next day, then we can convert it into butter and ghee and yogurt and so many other goodies. For that, we need a creamery. Creamery is expensive. Regulations are also. And so we are going through that process. Some investors are helping, and we are looking for more investors who have the same value system, who are not looking for the cruel milk, or even the healthy milk, and people who understand the kind milk aspect and see there are enough people in the world actually who, once they know that what it is and they know there is something alternative available, they would want to pay the kind price of the milk. So that's where we are at. We hope by 21 March, April, we will have that going with your blessings and everybody's. Yeah.
Where can people learn if they want to actually assist with the infrastructure by investing, or to purchase your products? Where can people go to either speak to you or learn more about the work that you're doing?
Oh, we have an Instagram account, and it is Gopal, GOPAL.farm, and you would see the updates there. Of course, we have the website with the same name, www.gopal.farm, and you write to us if you have interest. We have a package, you could look at it. And but everybody's help is very important, because we all are affected by this cruel practices in agriculture, and in our own practices, our own thinking, teaching our dependents, children, everybody. We need to be thoughtful about. I feel that we need to be. More and more, all of us, we need to become more thoughtful in all our dealings. Because the violence which we commit in this world do have a way of catching us some way or the other.
Speaking of your Instagram, I took a look at it before our call, and I really enjoyed watching the videos of you picking your heirloom seeds from different vendors around India, just going to all the different stalls and tasting all the vegetables and fruits and picking out the ones that you really like. It's really fun and interesting to watch you do that.
I know that's a whole topic, and it's so saddening that all our maybe it's the wave last. It's a communism, palate communism, I call it.
Palate communism.
That we have become satisfied with just those 15-20 vegetables. That's it. We don't want to. That's it. Everybody should just eat that. And all the regions in the world, it's so much diversity. Thousands and thousands and thousands of different kinds of vegetables are existing in this world. And our tongue can, it's so long. Just imagine the tomatoes too. There are, as farmers, we know there are immense number of varieties of tomatoes. But in the grocery stores, we are used to just picking out tomato, right? If there is something else, then you say, "Oh, what's this?"
Yeah.
And rice, there are thousands of varieties, literally.
We were in the millions.
I know. I didn't want to say millions and shock you too much. But lots and lots have been lost. We were in the foothills of the Himalayas, and so there, Vandana Shiva's place is there. Vandana Shiva, she has a place there called Navagram or something. So we went. They have a test plot, not test plot. They make seed library kind of storage and seed library. So for that whole region, they were telling me they have 250 or 300 varieties of rice just from that region.
Wow!
Just from the region, basmati rice, many kinds of basmati rice, hundreds of basmati rices. So, but that is one. Rice I can talk about with you. So, even in India, there are so many aromatic. I'm really into these aromatic rices now, and there is aromatic rices. I'm not talking about just rice. Aromatic rices. Within the aromatic rices, there are varieties which help one when one has heart disease, when one has diabetes, when one has one is feeling little, when it is in when you are in summertime, you're feeling too much heat in the body. That or winter rice, so many different kinds of rices are
Wow.
existing, and people used to grow them. And there was specialists, connoisseurs of rices who would buy those rices. They keep all the different, so many different kinds of rices, and one day you cook that, one day you cook this, and not just rices.
It's really interesting. I know exactly what you're talking about. You end up eating basically the same 5, 10, 15 fruits
There
and
was study, it says 30 crops.
30 crops.
30 crops have become standardized around the world.
I'm guessing corn takes up 90% of that.
On people's palate, yeah, but
Yeah.
it's different. Yeah, but yeah, tomato, there is one kind of squash everyone likes. There's one kind of tomato, maybe two kinds of tomatoes people like. And the green beans, that string green beans has become so famous. But we ourselves are growing 7 green beans, 7 different kinds of beans, like bing bean and the long velar bean and the mongrel bean. I mean, different kinds of beans we ourselves are growing.
Wow.
We are growing 6 kinds of cucumbers. When in India there are like 20s of cucumbers, different kinds, like shapes, sizes, taste, what season they grow, and there's like amazing varieties in this world that are existing.
I recently discovered okra, and I absolutely love okra. And it's just so delicious, and it's such a unique flavor, I think. And when you mentioned palate communism, that was the first thing I thought of. Is okra is a relatively new vegetable that I've introduced into my diet, and with palate communism, you don't get access to that, and it's actually quite hard to find. It's not in any supermarket. I have to go to kind of special corner shops to get it.
Mm-hmm. So okra also has huge number of varieties too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, true. I mean, the best variety that we know, we know now what is the best variety of okra.
Mm-hmm.
You know how? That's the variety which the deer loves.
That the deer loves.
Every morning he comes and they were eating only one variety of okra, not the other variety of okra. No, and everybody loved that variety too. So we knew they know
That's
which
the winner.
is the right variety.
Yeah. That's amazing. Well, Nimai, thank you again very much for your time. Really interesting to hear about how you're thinking about farming differently, how you're thinking about the holistic system of sustainability in general, whether it's the actual practices or the economics of it. And I think the work you're doing is really outstanding. And it sounds like you're just getting started, really, and there's a lot more room to grow. So for anyone who's interested in participating, they should just go to gopal.farm, and they'll be able to talk to you.
Well, thank you, Daniel. This is a really nice opportunity. You're doing really good work.
Thank you.
Started watching your thing on YouTube, you said.
Yeah.
And well, we'll be in touch.
Yeah, sounds great, Nimai. Thank you again. Thank you very much for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed it, give us a 5-star rating. And also, please subscribe, whether on your podcast app or on YouTube. And that way you can be the first to know about new episodes. Thank you very much, and talk to you soon.